Good evening, everyone. Hey, how you doing? Okay, I just wanted to come to you to read a little bit of what I read this morning to give you the word. Now, I know that I have not been on here for a while, but someone had me discouraged because they were like, "You're not gonna get very many subscribers because no one don't want to hear the Bible." But God says otherwise. So here we go. I am in Habakkuk chapter 1. Now I'm going to read this and then I'm going to break it down, okay? So I have two sections to read. So bear with me. Okay, this one says Habakkuk's first complaint. Chapter 1. First one. The article that Habakkuk the prophet saw. Verse 2. How long, Lord, must I call for help, and you do not listen, or cry out to you about violence, and you do not save? Verse 3. Why do you force me to look at injustice? Why do you tolerate wrongdoing, oppression, and violence are right in front of me? Strife is ongoing and conflict escalates. Verse 4. This is why the law is ineffective and justice never emerges. For the wicked restrict the righteous, therefore justice comes out perverted. Okay, so verse 1. I'm explaining why Habakkuk is complaining. Okay. Verse 1, it says Habakkuk begins with a phrase that serves as a header for his message. He uses the term translated as article, burden or heavy load. It says see word study page 823, but I don't have no word study. Okay, and it says and notes on, I think that's J.R. I think it's supposed to be Jeremiah. I don't know. 23, 33 through 39 to describe his prophecy. God himself is the author of this vision. Okay. 3 says Habakkuk began to doubt the goodness of God as he watched the spiritual decline of Judah. He struggled with his own fast who faltering faith and despair over the per- preservation of justice. Why didn't God intervene? Excuse me. Yeah, intervene. Why do the righteous suffer when the guilty seem to prosper? The silence of an all-powerful, all-loving God in the midst of chaos and destruction is hard to understand. Okay, someone once told me that you don't question God. But see, in my belief, I believe that if you don't question God, then how will you learn? So what I'm saying is, you I guess you don't you don't talk to God any kind of way. Like, sometimes I'm gonna use this for an example. Sometimes I get so mad at God. Y'all, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I do. I get mad. And I be like, Lord, why you let this happen? No. You're not supposed to talk to God like that. You talk to God in a calm voice. Excuse me. So now we're going to see God's first response, and that is verses 5 through 11. Look at the nations and observe. Be utterly astounded, for something is taking place in your days that you will not believe when you hear about it. Look, I am rising up the Chaldeans, that bitter, impetuous nation that marches across the earth's open spaces to seize territories not its own. They are fierce and terrifying. Their views of justice and sovereignty sting from themselves. Their horses are swifter than leopards and more fierce than wolves of the night. Their horsemen charge ahead. Their horsemen come from distant lands. They fly like an eagle, excuse me, swooping to devour. All of them come to do violence. Their faces are set in the determination. They gather prisoners like sand. They mock kings, and rulers are a joke to them. They laugh at every fortress and build siege ramps to capture it. Then they sweep by like the wind and pass through. They are guilty. Their strength is their God. Okay, now 5 through 11, this is the explanation. Okay, God is not offended by questions or expressions of confusion. You always hear that saying, God is not the God of confusion and concern. He willingly responded to Habakkuk's questions. God does see. He commanded Habakkuk to look away from his own people and to look at the nations. God is going to do something quite unbelievable by judging Judah and using a nation far more wicked than she, the Babylonians, to do so. Okay, so now Habakkuk has another complaint. And I'm going to say this, Habakkuk needs to sit his behind down. Okay, so let's go into the second complaint. Excuse me, y'all. Okay, Habakkuk's second complaint. This is verse 12, verse 1, 12, and 2 and 1. Okay, it says, are you not from eternity, Yahweh? excuse me. My God, my Holy One, you will not die. Lord, you appointed them to execute judgment. My rock, you destined them to punish us. Your eyes are too pure to look on evil, and you cannot tolerate wrongdoing. So let's turn the page. Okay, you all. That is the sound of a page turning. Excuse me. It says, so why do you tolerate those who are treacherous? Why are you silent while one who is wicked swallows up one who is more righteous than himself? You have made mankind like the fish of the sea, like marine creatures that have no ruler. The Chaldeans pull them all up with a book, catch them in their dragnet, and gather them in their fishing net. That is why they are glad and rejoice. That is why they sacrifice to their dragnet and burn incense to their fishing net. For by these things their portion is rich, and their food plentiful. Will they therefore empty their net and continually slaughter nations without mercy? This is 2 now. It said, I will stand at my guard post and station myself on the lookout tower. I will watch to see what he will say to me and what I should reply about my complaint. Okay, so now I'm going to explain God's response, okay? His first response. Okay. It says Habakkuk was shocked. Where was the justice in punishing Judah by a far more wicked nation? Habakkuk understood the character of God. He is eternal and he is holy. He cannot tolerate evil. Yahweh is Habakkuk's God. Habakkuk is committed to him. However, Habakkuk did not fully understand God's ways. Don't nobody understand God's ways. Okay. With man. The Babylonians worship their own strength. How could such a people teach anything to God's nation? Rather, they would only be encouraged to continue to destroy other nations. And this one says Habakkuk spoke honestly with God and desired to understand more about God's ways, like Jonah when he waited outside the gates of Nineveh. I guess Nineveh is Nineveh, in order to see what God would do to the city. And that is in John 4. Habakkuk will watch to see how God will answer his own complaint. That's what he better do. He better wait. Okay, so we're going to skip down. Okay, this one is in chapter 2. Like I said, this is God's second complaint. The Lord answered me. Write down this vision. Clearly inscribe it on tablets so one way easily read it. For the vision is yet for the appointed time. It testifies about the end and will not lie. Though it delays, wait for it, since it will certainly come and not be late. Look, his ego is inflated. He is without integrity. But the righteous one will live by his faith. Okay, so now let me explain God's second response. Excuse me. Okay, this is 2, chapter 2, verse 4. The outcome of this warning is certain because God sees the inflated ego of those he is about to judge. This situation calls for patient endurance. The righteous one will live by his faith. Faith is needed because the judgment on the Babylonians will take place in the unforeseeable future, and the delay in judgment will not make sense from a human perspective. What is that? Okay. So now, on that note, I'm going to say two things. I love you. I love you. I love you, my daughters, and thank you for, taking time out of your busy schedule for listening to me. And guess what? I hate to end this because it is getting so good, but I have to. So, remember, I love you, and so does God, and we walk by faith and not by sight. And if you haven't already joined me, please hit that like button and subscribe so you can enjoy the Word of God.